What up, fam jam? Ooh, speaking to the Slim Jim. Ooh, it's like that makes sense. I think to the so many still really awesome people. Oh yeah, snap it to the Slim Jim. Ooh, Macho Man. Yeah. Hi, I'm Macho Man. I'm not. I mean, I am, but not. Savage. Well, I am, but not. Randy. Well, that too. I'm all those things separately. And Elliot. Don't mind me. I'm. I've worked up a sweat eating pizza. I'm not even kidding. I was probably sweating before that, but like, there's more sweat because of the pizza. It's not like especially greasy. It's like fucking especially awesome. So I just like started perspiring because like you probably couldn't hear it, but I could. My ambient environment. The super intense slash not even really, it's just like the intense or strong activity of cosmic. Oh, it's such bullshit. Just cosmic rays, yo. Like, anyways, my dinner's clearly gotten to my stomach. You got lucky. It like chills me out. I was already pretty excitable. I made my own dipping sauce because I love it. So it was olive. That's it, and extra tomato sauce. So badass. I have been living entirely, like entirely, uh, in poverty. Turns out money doesn't buy happiness. It buys things from people that want money for those things. But you can get a lot if you just use what you have and depend on yourself and beautiful people for happiness. Oh my, it's like I'm describing the world that we're creating. Oh, my dipping sauce. This is what I made. Okay. 1 spoon, maybe 2 spoons of mayo. That's it. I fucking love mayo, man. I think I always loved mayo, but I didn't really realize it until this last year. I've never eaten more junk than over this last couple of years. With the cosmic vibrations, everybody's like, eat clean, drink lots of water. I've never drunk less water in my life. Like, yeah, I was just like, don't eat junk food. I'm like, yo, I ate so much McDonald's and like Kraft dinner and white bread and bread, just crap. Like by crap, I mean crap and I don't know, convenience food. Also, just listening to your body is more important than anything. And I've lived incredibly clean as far as like my diet is concerned because I had to try everything. And when you try everything, you learn what feels good. And who knew eating whole foods? Rocket science. Those are the same thing. Rocket fuel. Who's a rocket? The only thing better than mayo is vegan mayo. Straight up. Oh dear. I love you. Like, how do you believe anything I just told you? Yeah. Actually, Actually, you know what? I'm going to try, because that actually might be doing something. I'm working with technology. So that might actually be affecting the internet connection as well. So I'm going to put some space and some like. Namaste. Hopefully that works. But yeah, I just told you like a bunch of true things, but you don't know that. How do you know? You just believe it because I told you. That would be reasonable, especially if like you've known me, even through this medium, to just hear that like I'm always telling the truth. Practice makes perfect practice. But cosmic rays. I just told you that it doesn't actually matter what you eat. It matters how you feel about it. That's the most important thing that you could possibly do when it comes to your diet. Which is why you would eventually, inevitably, eat less processed shit and actually less that, because everything's processed. Nothing's really unprocessed. It's just a matter of perspective. But more like all the meat and stuff, because craft dinner is gross. It still makes my not so much fun. And that's like, I'm the easiest going when it comes to just about everything bodily processes. And it's still kind of like, it's like, Elliot, you're a twisted fuck. And I'm like, yeah, man, I know, isn't it fun? But I'm not eating something like more or less recently dead. And I will, because I have reverence for everything that I eat. But eventually, you just want to, however you move through life and your environment is going to be filled with more loving kindness in action. I put the inaction part because it's not obvious, apparently. I never, like, just because you say something doesn't make it true. I had to learn that because everything I say is like my act of saying my truth. But I know that I'm wired very differently. And I had to learn that too. We like to put labels on the super obvious. It's like, this person is autistic because they can't or can this. Well, I my whole life, I didn't understand people in the way that they thought I did. I understood them better, but I didn't know I was listening and not listening, and seeing and not seeing. Certain environments make me uncomfortable. And you know what? It's fucking extreme to me. But on the surface, somebody can look at me and be like, I could be that way. You know, it's not wholly unreasonable. There's no extra horn. You know, he's using words. And they're like, he's using words better than me, but I could do that. You know, it's not like there's Rain Man or anything. It's like the excuses that we use to qualify our laziness for a lack of responsibility and a fear of saying I don't know. That's my judgment. I'm entitled to judgment because none of my judgments truly lead to anything other than more I love you. And my judgment includes within it an understanding that it's not so much a fault thing or a blame. We're all kind of where we are. But if you also don't take responsibility for what you believe you could have done, then you're always living backwards. You're never moving forwards because you're always aware of that place in your life, in that sector of your like cognitive awareness where because you can't. But what the fuck is can't? If you can see it, you can. And if you look for anything, you'll find it. But we like to look for the good things in our life, and I don't know. Actually, I'm positing, so I'm not going to say more on that because I'm going to be speaking about someone that's really not me, and I prefer not to do that because I like to try and keep my words as honest as possible in my awareness. 9/11. It's kind of my birthday. I mean, not really, but my sun birthday is the 9th and my moon birthday is the 11th. So and my month, sun month is 6 and my moon month is 12. And I like patterns. Fuck, maybe I'm not Rain Man. It's raining men. Hallelujah. No? I know I kind of. I'm actually super excited for the video that I'm going to do tomorrow. And this is kind of leading up to it. I knew I was going to say that sentence, and I couldn't help but smile and laugh at my own inside, kind of like unnecessary but joy, anyways. Because, like, all my videos have led up to this video and are going to lead up to the next video. It's that way. But I do mean it especially because our hard work has paid off and our empowerment is becoming more and more embodied, and our influence is being more and more readily accepted. And by the we and the us, I just mean, who do you think I mean? If I were to put a word to it, I'd say the lovers. But a big kind of hurdle for my own learning to love myself and developing my ideal / divine / most real / beautiful, like self being has been releasing the expectation that people are going to want to know what I mean when they really don't understand. I grew up until only recently, over this last like year or so, basically prefacing all of my brilliance with like an explanation as to why I know what I'm talking about, and then saying what I'm talking about, which all I really was doing was making the space for them to in their internal unconscious resonance, basically creating the adversarial position that I was putting them in, being like, you don't, I'm telling you because you might not believe me. And they're like, well, I might not believe you. So and then for like really letting go of that has led to and I'm not being dramatic, like 0 friends. To be inclusive, I would include like 1 person. And she knows who she is. No, not you, the other one from my old life. You're my first one. Like, who's he talking about? I'm like, I love to talk to you and play with what would you have to believe for me, for you to believe that I am talking to not anyone else but you. And then could you just do it as much as it serves your heart and your soul? You know? One gets better at that. It's not a switch, it's a mish. I mean, I do. Um, Much of what gets carried on in the world that's tragic is allowed because of people are afraid. And I've been afraid too. I've been fucking petrified. I'm not afraid of much, but what I am afraid of, or I didn't know I was afraid of, got really scary. There's nothing stupid about being afraid. What I won't abide in myself. And so, by necessity of maintaining myself, I can't abide. I choose I can't. Um, to abide that very, very long with the company that I keep. But that's really just the company that I keep closely. Because staying afraid is unreasonable. If you're afraid of something that's not really around you, that's not really staying afraid. It's like being afraid of a thing that doesn't affect you. So it's like, I don't know, it's part of like your story. But like if you're afraid of spiders and you regularly experience spiders, and even like, I don't know, on any kind of routine basis, once a year, twice a year, whatever, like it causes you like a great deal of fear and inconvenience where like you have to find someone or something to like get rid of it or something, whatever your strategy is. Um, that that's just not even lazy. It's like lazy in like believing more for yourself. Like right now in my resonance fields, I'm really connected to all the forms of nature and um, like bees, not like bumbles, but the ones that scare the shit out of people. Uh, they'll like they'll come up like real close to me. They'll land on me, and I've over the last year I like mitigated the knee jerk reaction, but I've never been that person. I've never been stung. I'm like I that's it's like that's not even habit. That's like good practice. Knock on wood. uh, but really early on, everybody was afraid of bees. Like as a kid, you know, you want to get stung, uh, and I just negotiated with myself. It's like okay, but I'm like this big thing compared to this little thing, and if it stings me, it'll like hurt, but I'll forget about it. And maybe like I don't know, I got like spanked as a kid, as like a quite a young kid, and like I fell off things a lot. So like even subconsciously, I had a relationship with pain that was like, how much can this fucking little thing hurt me that I'm going to be afraid of it? You know, and with practice, that eventually turns into uh, it not even perturbing my consciousness field. We can enter and fly like unimpeded by my energetic defensiveness one way or another, which might be actually why they fly around me because it's calmer than anywhere else. All the cell phones and people afraid. Could you imagine being this little thing that just like loves? It's like, hi, I'm a bee. I fly from flower to flower for my queen. And I have this like stinger defense, but when I use it, I die. I don't really want to use it. Why is everybody afraid of me? It's like, I've never really thought about it that way. But you could have. So let's examine a little bit for fun all the different ways that we create and frame our world, and we base our strong opinions about what's possible and what's not possible on things that we don't fucking know at all. And when I say we, I mean you. Because I know. Except for the things I'm not mentioning. Or if I mention something that I don't know. Like, I don't know that. But I'll probably just stick to the things that I know. And I'm not going to tell you. Oh, actually, and I'll also just make shit up too. Because, like, don't want to get booked by those algorithms. And why this is important is because the truth of life, who we are, what we're a part of, where things are, what's relevant, whatever the fuck you could consider as like the most global but still related to you, like that shit, is beyond your wildest and like mundanely slash profanely so reasonably in those realms assumed. I know that was a bit lengthy, but the order and the manner with which each of those words describe themselves and what I'm talking about, I stand by it. So here's one. It's for the guys, because I've used this on a friend slash guy who's a year younger than me, but experiencing what do they call it? Premature balding or pre fucking something, some bullshit name for balding too soon. I'm like, that's reversible. He's like, oh, no. Because it's Elliot. Elliot's always saying weird ass shit. It's like, what does Elliot know? I mean, he's super fit. He's got a lot of life. He's always saying this like really hyper intelligent shit, and like, he's happy to explain it to me. Like, who got time for that? Because like everybody knows. And I'm taking the piss like we are the champions. Like, I'm taking the piss, but I'm also like hands free, like, yeah, because I deserve it. But instead of engaging me in that conversation, because it's a huge insecurity, even to be like, yeah, no, I don't believe you. That doesn't make sense to me. Let me tell you why. Or I don't even want to tell you why. But thank you for explaining what you think, and I don't believe you. So I'm just going to move on with life. It was just going to brush that off. But then how does he know that what I'm saying isn't more true. How do you know that the sun is in space? We're thinking about it together. Okay. So now I'm going to share some of the answers from class. I see, guys. Because we've been to space, and so we've seen the sun from space. Actually, that's not true. And I'm going to tell you why in the most like mundane lie of why that's not true. So the lie that actually denies that truth, but I mean, it's like it's said like it's a truth. Here, let me fucking just say, pardon me, and thank you for your patience. Space is a vacuum. The only reason we see light is because of our atmosphere. So without gases and shit for light to bounce off of, we would not see anything. So outside of our atmosphere, yeah, between our planet and the sun is empty space through which light has nothing to travel and like be present in our environment. Like if we're in space, like the sunlight might be here, but because there's no gas and shit, apparently, we wouldn't see the sun. So actually, the technical bullshit answer is that you don't see the sun from space. Yes. Ask me if I'm talking to myself. And how reasonable would that be? What? Hold on one moment. I want to be respectful.
You got to.
I couldn't have like wished for a more perfect example. Please talk to me like you talk to other people while you're on the phone because you're not really fucking listening to them. Thank you. Oh yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah, space. So what are some other reasons? Because obviously you haven't been to the sun. Or maybe you have, but then you would have a different answer. Pictures? What's a picture? At best, I'll do that for her. Okay. At best, we create these cameras, these technologies, to mimic vision, that like human vision, so as to for it to be like familiar and like useful. That's the lie, anyways. It's to manipulate our vision and to encapsulate it in some small ass fraction. In fact, we love to fucking lord that over us. It's like the visible spectrum is so small of the whole spectrum. It's crazy that we can only see like this much because there's so much. Like, so why do you think we would be able to see more of it? Or like experience more of it? Or fuck me, be a part of more of it? And then what about all those examples of when that's not true? Of like how some people can see this like ultraviolet or some like these other colors. It's like, yeah, but they're the exception, not the rule. It's like the exception is the rule, motherfucker. Well, that was his name, Bruce Banner, not the Hulk, but he was pretty hulky. I can't remember his name, but the fucking minute mile guy, first guy that ran a mile in like a 4-minute mile, something like that. It's like impossible, can't be done. He did it. Like 3 months later, someone else did it. Next year, fucking 7 other people that did it. No, better make them fucking do it. You like permission them. And that's what we're doing with our goodness. Here's like an interesting one that I thought of, and it kind of like gave rise to this this like share. What if, and this isn't no flat earth bullshit, but what if outside of the earth's like gravitational field force or whatever, empty space wasn't like space, it was water. And so rain didn't come from condensation and from evaporation, that whole bullshit process. But I mean, I'm actually being hypothetical here. What if the rain came from there? How do you know that's not true? We like to talk a lot about the ocean and the bottom of the ocean, but whenever it's convenient, we're happy to remind whoever we're talking about, or whoever we're talking to, that we've never actually, we don't know. We've never been to the bottom of the ocean. But we can see it with cameras and radar and sonar. Some other R, no doubt. Which, let me remind you, is a technology that we created to see a certain way. So, how do we know that if you just keep going underneath the ocean, there isn't just like, I don't know, another habitable area? This is good, because we're like, we know what the earth is made of. The iron core, electromagnetism, magma. I think the furthest we can go into the Earth's crust is like 10 kilometers. 4. Let's look it up. Something stupid, right? Because like, I can't remember. You can use trigonometry or Pythagorean triangle or some bullshit to guesstimate the diameter of the Earth. That is the deepest we have gone into the Earth's crust. Something stupid. It's like we haven't gotten. Anyways, we've gone further than the crust. Anyways, we haven't made it through the crust. So we like to talk about the mantle. We like to talk about the core. We like to talk about these like the sedimentary layers and blah 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 blah. Deepest hole. Since the Earth's radius is 6,500 kilometers, and the average continental crust is about 35 kilometers, the maximum depth one could dig would appear to be about 0.5% of the radius. So it's about, the oceanic crust is about 6 millimeters thick. So if you dug the ocean floor, you could get about 0.1% of the way to the core. The deepest hole in all the world is 3,700 meters, right? It's not 4 kilometers, man. The equatorial radius is 6.378. But we like to talk a lot about where we get our oil and what's under. So long as it, continues to manage your expectations about who and what you are in space, and why you could possibly be relevant. Like, where's oil come from? Fossils. Cool. Do you know, they haven't fossilized anything ever. Fossilization is a theory, not a theory about oil. It's a theory about fossilization. I know. It's crazy, right? Same with plate tectonics. Plate tectonics is actually based on one observation. But that's like most things. Did you know that in the 1600s, there's one French author that is responsible for the rewriting / translation of, besides the Bible, like most classical thought? I'll just say that. But I can just give you little nugs to like, I know you think chicken, but I think marijuana. All of this you can just search on your own if you feel so inclined. Well, maybe you don't feel so inclined. You're not curious like I am. So let's pick something that's like relevant to you. How do you know you're going to die? Because people are dying all the time. Yeah. But how do you know it's not because of activities that they're doing that kill them? Did you know that? Like, I've said it before, and I don't mind sharing with you. Shampoo, conditioner, soap, brushing your teeth, fucking with your hair, fucking with your body hair, especially women more than men, shaving like the entirety of their pubic area and their armpits, and men hair short, beard. All of these things can be mitigated eventually by like a grander, and a more atomic scale power. That's the cosmic joke on like the controller energy. It's like, ha 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 ha. You think you're big. But as soon as you think that, absolutely, you become so small. How do you know you're supposed to do any of those things? How do you know those things are good for you? What's the longest you've ever gone without brushing your teeth? That's not that long, right? As long as you've ever gone without shampooing or conditioning your hair. The longest. As longest you've let your body go between lathering it all up in whatever soap product. but it's good for you, right? I mean, so is creaming your skin because you know your skin gets dry. It does it. I mean, we know like soaping your skin obviously dries your skin, but like it's not. But that's not. We need to do. Hmm. Well, fuck me, Elliot. You're pointing out some. You're pointing out some stupid. No, I'm not. All of these things could be the most reasonable thing in the world, but you can't know about it really until you try it, experience it, and maybe these things don't matter to you. Like I'm happy. I'm happy with all the way it is. But you know, where I'm not happy is my relationships. Where I'm not happy is my job. Where I'm not happy is being a slave. It's like that's convenient. Why do you think that those like? Why do you think that anything is unrelated? Like, if um, there's any area of your life that could be improved at the edge of your awareness, so as to say that you are aware that there's something that you can do to improve some area of your life, but you're not doing it. Like, it doesn't all have to get done now, but the longer you go, I don't have to tell you, we've all been there. It gets worse. But like, your hair looks beautiful. And so long as you wear deodorant, I mean, everything's good. It never bothers you. And then you die. But that's cool because everybody's dying. Hmm? Everybody's like, "Ugh, cancer is just like a thing." Yeah? How do you know that cancer's bad? How do you know that? How do you know that you're, because I'll spare the truth. Like, let's just pretend that this cancer thing half the time is good. Like, it's happening all the time that's happening in your body, half the time is good, and half the time is bad. And what happens that half the time that's bad, it kills you. How do you know what I just said isn't true? But instead of calling it cancer, we call it um, like mitochondrial rejuvenation or some other bullshit. Or better, remission or a miracle. How do you know that you aren't actually human? See how I frame that? I didn't ask you, how do you know you're human? I asked you, how do you know that you're not? And if you said, I don't know that I'm not, exactly. Why is any of that important? Why is anything important? Where does the truth need to fall into your life to be important enough to know that you're not asking? And I don't mean seeking, because like not everybody is like a cosmic um, sleuth, love, warrior, avenger. What up? That's good. I'm actually really grateful because, uh, especially because of all the work that we've done recently, it's like gorgeous to meet other people that are really amazing and make uh, one feel like they are like them, you know, like, well, it's like just to meet someone, to meet people that make you feel like that make me feel like they're like me. And at the same time, they're like totally not like me. And I don't know how they're not like me uh, in ways that compare where it's like I have to actually like frame it because it's not how I think at all. I don't know. There's just no comparison. I only know that they're not like me because I'm really aware. Like it really, I'm really taken with how they're wonderful and beautiful in ways that I don't relate to. Like I know that I know that I'm rough around the edges. I'm, I'm, I'm a slayer, straight up. That's what I do. I'm not the one that's gonna have like all of the patience, but I can totally follow the one that has all the patience because I don't have it because it's not possible. No, I just choose. I'm like, no, like just today, like I gave myself a part of like my own like super continuous evolution is not for the first time, but I really permissioned myself to like I don't have I don't I don't have to be nice to everybody. I don't have to like everybody. You know, that's not a quality of love to me. That's not even a quality of respect. You know, I can respectfully treat people however I want to treat them in respect and not like them and not be nice to them. Fuck, it might be rude, but I want to live in a universe where that's true. And in the universe that I live in, there are those that really love everyone, and the way that they express that is so inspiring and not a surprise. It's kind of like what I kind of been counting on or slash hoping for, because that's why I'm the way that I am. They can be that way because I'm a slay all the people that would take that away. And the mistake is when, you know, the slaying leads the way. That's why I said, like, I follow that. I only actually know where I follow because wherever I lead, I have to look back. And I lead is always we lead because I look side to side too. Like, I like looking side to side is I'm looking at you. But in this very, like, incredible time in our history, in like our cosmology, it is like, it is down. It's like miraculous is like what you would, I don't know, describe it at if fucking it was every day. Like it's amazing. And it's not even tragic. It's a little more hilarious. How like most people don't even know at all what like the wonder that is making itself available to anybody that asks. Trust me, it hasn't been that easy, but that's like what lovers do, make it easier. And like I'm rest assured knowing that everybody has their time to be their own hero of their own life. You know, So maybe um, you start to experience some of this wonder, and you're not quite sure what to make of it. Maybe for the first time, you're um, like noticing numbers. That's a common one, right? And it's happening so much that it's actually starting to kind of get to you. Or you're seeing something that is not there, but except it is there. You're seeing it, but you're sure no one else is seeing it. And you've never seen it before, but you're fucking seeing it. What do you do with that? And then in your quest, questioning to rediscover, which is what we call finding what's been hidden, there's someone I can't even in earnesty say like me because it's so far removed and it would be dishonest. But you're just someone that proclaims to have the answers. How do you know that their answers um, are true? What if, um, what if some like charlatan-esque person in all of their rhetoric, sorry, not rhetoric because that's intelligent and like determined, in their fucking verbal bullshit, they've, by virtue of the cosmic, um, like flow of wisdom, the like universe is speaking through this um, cowboy. I don't know why I said that. Uh, and so speaking actually truth, but to you. How do you discern the outright bullshit, but the literal words that are true to you? And then forget all that. That example that I just gave as a fruitful activity in actuality. Do you do that? I'm not really assuming that you do. I'm more kind of going with um, how how would you know that what I just said um, is not just like me making up in my head or you making up in your head, or that making up anything in your head isn't um, actually how everything is made up. Like, how do you know that? Because that's um, exactly why um, we have commercials, why we have television shows and movies and um, endlessly. It's not even really what they're saying. It's like there's the programming, like anything that's mainstream, and I mean like the conspiracies. I mean, if anything that's being allowed to be projected to the masses is being projected to fuck with you. Don't believe me, but like anything that isn't true, or like that doesn't anything that bothers you, why? When do you decide to like know more about it so that it doesn't bother you, or how do you know that you're like missing the challenge uh, of the fact? Like where you are just taking your misery slash disease slash death as a matter of fact that is being um, offered to you, because that's like actually the cosmic um, like like free will. It's like actually you have to give your permission, but they can trick you, and they can be anybody that you think is not you. And trust me, they do not think that you are them. Your food. So in this like emergent uh, economy of humanity, which I am not connotating the money market system. I mean the actual. I'm speaking more to the original use of the word, which is like just like efficiency and efficacy of use of resources, which is everything: your mental, your emotional, your physical, your relational, your matter stuff, your subtle stuff, your time. Like I have heavily resisted um, selling my time or having my time stolen from me my whole life. I'm pretty sure I started pretending to be sick to not go to school at around 7. And I did it a lot. And then in high school, I just skipped school outright. In I think grade 11 and 12, I I don't even know if I was there half the time. I did quite well, I think, considering. I just couldn't believe it. And then I didn't care because even before I could articulate it, I refused that for that to be my truth. You don't get to say what I do with my life, especially when what you're telling me, like, clearly doesn't lead to my happiness. Like any professional ambition I've ever held um, in like delusion was my best effort designed to prove to myself that it wasn't just because I don't know, like people are stupid. Because I know I wasn't. So I came up with better ways. And they weren't good enough. Not the ideas, but the implementation. Investors and shares and capital and marketing and advertising. The only marketing and advertising anybody ever needs is useful, is utility. That which is util sells itself. Anything more than that is um, is a part of the consumption. It's part of the consumption economic diet. That's what all this is. It's like all the magazines, all the flyers, and everything like that. It's for wasting people's time and recycling resources. It's not like we're killing all the trees. No, we're killing all the trees that we're planting and then killing all the trees and then planting and then killing all the trees and planting. And that has its long term effects. And don't like get me started. I fucking love trees, and mark my words, uh, they will. They're the abuse of them is coming to a nigh immediate end. Slayer. advertising. Uh, like, think of all the people that are employed in by proverbially, essentially, digging holes and filling them up again, and then digging holes and filling them up again. How do you know that's not you? How do you know that your job, if you believe your job, is a contribution to society? You know that. Like, if you're a doctor and you think so, uh, how do you know that you're not killing people? Doctors are the worst. I don't blame them. They're just like energetically, cognitively, heavily invested in being right about a lie. It's not like outright lies, but if you lie about one thing, and then if you lie about one true thing, that lie, you can tell the truth about it. So everything after that, telling the truth about a lie. How do you know there's some incredibly imbalanced aspect of your life that isn't under your complete and utter um, ability slash manifestation? Like, what part of your life is not up to you? And then how do you know that? If, and this is reasonable, which is why I'm saying it, if you are still here and feeling anxious or squirmy or just unnerved, then I applaud you. And if you're not, then I don't trust you. Because you think you're mighty, which means that you think you know what mighty is. Because being mighty includes being uncomfortable and unnerved. Because I don't doubt, actually, that someone listening I haven't told anything new to. But that same person is listening to me and finding the things in themselves that make this exploration true to them. How do I know this? Because that's what I'm doing right now with you. And it takes two to tango, at least. We could also be line dancing. I think I'm ready to kind of wrap up a little bit, mostly because I'm doing lots of exciting things, and this is something that I'm like a lovingly like a thing I treasure, and I'm committed to doing um, in time. So like connecting with you guys, and it moves us forward. But the point, there are many points, really, because in my rediscovering, I've ascertained enough, at least um, factual and ambiguity to reasonably doubt, I think, every facet of my former believability. And I'm super wickedly, awesomely aligned with my present moving forward, uh, believing in me. It's just wildly different. It's like it's moved past whatever I thought was possible, and it's like conquered even what I was pretty sure was impossible or ridiculous or couldn't be true. I just couldn't fathom how. And then because I love the universe and the universe loves me, we've got a strong rapport. It's like I throw out a I dare you. I dare you to tell me how that works. And it's like, don't dare me. I hear you. This is how. But like, can you hear it? Can you listen? Can you see it? And I'm like, no. Because if you're not having fun, you're not having it. Maybe you are, I don't know. But that's the way I make my world. And it's really different. And none of it really matters as much as loving ourselves and loving each other. So you won't find me on this platform um, crusading. And I'm very careful about what I tell, what I express, because I maintain um, like shouting out is irresponsible. In time, I'm learning what I feel more and more comfortable doing, basically modeling success on my own, but like seeing what I like and being like, very, like yeah, that feels aligned to me, is expressing um, my like emotional, intellectual, and physical like spelunking, like relating conversationally and almost like yeah, eternally through this medium, because it doesn't depend on um, the temporality of knowledge or fact. So it can't be misconstrued as as an absolute, or at least dangerously. And it doesn't need to be an atomic bomb, but it could even just be someone hearing like stop doing all these things and then you'll live forever, and then they stop doing all these things and it kills them because because uh, enter an example of something that I haven't said or done. I intentionally don't do that. There's nothing I've said or done that could possibly lead that way, unless they're lying. But if you ask me something, there's nothing that I know that I also understand pertains to you that I would withhold from you. But if you don't know what to ask, you won't understand the meaning of what I tell you. Which is why I keep asking in this share, how do you know something is meaningful to you? And then, how do you know that that is the meaning of the thing that is meaningful? Because the thing doesn't matter. The what doesn't matter. The mechanism for how you determine meaning is. And if it wasn't true, like if the truth was some kind of ruthless victimhood, then that's what I'd be telling you. Or at least I wouldn't be telling you it's not, and it's not. But what is the truth? How do you find it? Because no one can tell you it. all the truth that people think they know is the truth, they don't use. Because there is no truth that isn't used. Lies and delusions, by their very nature, can only ever be talked about and never used. It's not real. So why we don't do this, why we do that, blah, 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 blah. What's the action? Where's the doing? What do we know by the slap in the face or the writing on the wall that, I guess, our kicked blood, or like our stencil? You know, because, and maybe I'll close with this ish. What I'm So I'm obviously inferring slash insinuating that we're having internet connection by virtue of some unseen force that is connecting me and you. Do you just believe that? Because I'm telling you. Because you can. And then if you just believe in that because I'm telling you enables you to explore that just being your truth and like challenging and testing it in your own way, you don't have to know all the fucking mechanisms. You just have to know the mechanisms you design. Create the context that you desire to do and manifest what you want to be and do. It's like you can fly. You can totally fly. It just depends though on how you can make that true for yourself. If all it takes for you is like blunt force, like just I know this, and like there's no aspect of like your genetic expression, cognitive expression, just like in every level, you know you can fly, then you're right. If you believe you've got to grow wings to do it, then you're not going to fly until you grow wings. But you might just well grow wings. I love teasing the spinals. It's like, make me move, bitch. Because I guess that's the other side of the coin of this, all this like post delusion, lost and so found knowledge and increasingly the increasing like loveliness of our community and like connecting and sharing ourselves as phenomena with each other and finding that very similar and again very different. It's like shit, man, that's totally not like how I do things, but you're doing what I do, so I'm thrilled to understand what it is like for you. And sometimes that's gonna be like, I want to try, and sometimes it could be like, I just like listening to you, because like, who doesn't love a good story? How do you know your story is not a good story? How do you know your story is a good story? Like Like, if you think your life is boring, chances are it's not. And if you think your life isn't boring, chances are it is. Of course, until, and I'm just being an ass, a little tricky, you know, both those things are true. I'm fucking boring as shit, and I'm almost not. And you'll never see all of that on YouTube. I promise. Because that this poor excuse of a camera is trying to convey um, the smallest fraction of my beingness. I promise you, I'm broader than the visible spectrum. So are you. Unless you don't think that's possible, in which case, there are aspects of you that are trying so fucking hard to make that true that it will eventually just be easier to die. It's like, fuck it. You're right. You're right. Just die. It's just easier. Like, in which ways are you not listening to you? And I'll give you a hint to find it. It's when you don't, it's when you argue with yourself and you tell yourself that you're right about being wrong. You deserve to be listened to. You deserve to be right to you. You're worthy of that. And you're worthy of life. For my part, moving forward, and I'm getting closer and closer every day. I've had to learn so much patience, and I thought I was a patient person, but divine timing really, it basically just finds whatever way divine timing would be difficult for you, and then it's like, that's divine timing. It's like, things are happening so fast, I don't like it. It's like, that's divine timing. It's like, things aren't happening fast enough. I don't like it. That's divine timing. And for me, it's a little bit of both, but it's mostly like, I'm going to do it all now. And it's like, yeah, see, you're doing it all. No. You got like 400 more days, brah. Fucking 400 more days. Luckily, 400 days passes faster than. Correction. 400 days passes eventually. Fuck me. But I'll have you know, I'm the extraordinary things that I've proven to myself in my own capacity and capabilities are directly related in my own observation and like manifest creation, because like I have like nigh innumerable units slash building blocks slash reasons to make things possible, because I've studied and researched and connected how things relate to each other. So many things. I don't stop until I understand them, not in theory, and not even in practicality. That's like a fucking an academic excuse. It's like, do you study are you academic or applied? It's like, you study theory or you study like, it's practical. Moron divided all those things. So no, I try and study things that are not practical as much as possible because that's what my degree is in. Oh, I laugh, but that's actually just most of physics, especially quantum. Turns out the universe is simple when you're not being lied to and you're not spending most of your life trying to prove a lie. Anyways, I do want you to know So what I'm actually building, I don't mind telling you, beyond what I don't know I'm building, but I know that I'm building because I know it. But it's like it's divine. I don't know. You'll be here anyways, just as it happens. But uh, it's no use teaching adults because adults are stupid. It's like, I hope that you're an adult so that you get that. Because I'm an adult too. And if you're offended, then I mean it. Oh, why not? I thought. If you don't think you're stupid, then I'm obviously not talking to you. And if you do, then that's not so bad. You just found you just knew that you just found an area where you think you're stupid. Like, how do you know that? And then give yourself a high five because that's distinctly not stupid. You like that self-discovery. In fact, that's erased. You're stupid. You're now not stupid. You can't be stupid at anything anymore if you can do that. Do what? Can you see that one more time? It's like, no, you can fucking rewind that shit. Or pretend you heard it and it was hard to understand, and then you're just going to try and make sense of that thing that you almost grasped that you want to know. Because I'm not creating it. But the children. Like, the education system failed us. What it's doing to them, it can't fail them. They're too smart. They're like, this is stupid. And they deserve better. And children ask good questions because they haven't legit been tortured out of question asking. Not that that's an excuse, but we're not blaming. I'm just saying. If you've been tortured to not ask questions, it doesn't quite work the same at all anymore, but it did. And if it's still working with you, and you notice that, but you're only really noticing it now, you're brilliant. And if you notice that, but you know it's hard for you and you've been working on it, you're awesome. And if you've known that forever and you've not done anything about it, you're not hopeless. And if I were to make a judgment, I would say that you're not right. You can do anything. But that anything has to make sense to you. And if you're just waiting for someone believable to come along so that all you have to do is believe it, then you are missing out on so much of your divinity, of your truth, because there will come a time when like the embodied awesomeness that one can achieve in this like monumental splash-tastic wicked, thank goodness, time, oh mine, but also yours because we're here too. It's ours, and also all the things, which somehow makes sense, but it sounds like I'm just talking shit. That's this new world that we're living in, where the laws and rules are all out the window with us. And the outside is the inside, and it's not anything like any sides we ever thought we knew. Until it's common enough that it can be absorbed by most people. And then you would have to be evil, which is to say, like, intentionally reversed. I got no hate for evil. I got no hate for the only thing I really have hate for that I maintain is cruelty. And like, Nothing is like necessarily cruel. Like, evil's not necessarily cruel. Bad's not necessarily cruel. But if I judge a thing to be cruel, that's a slay for sure. Because if it'll never get away, I'll slay that shit for sure. Because there's no space in my universe. I'll die. And since I refuse to do that too, don't be cruel. I'm gonna fucking slay you. Can you appreciate that I'm speaking to like an idea thought form and not even like a person? How do you know that I'm talking about anything tangible like it's tangible because it's tangible to me? Like, what are the building blocks of your own understanding? Because if you have none, then you're just waiting. That's cool too. But don't expect to know. Because when that time comes when like the collective awareness shifts like hugely, the striving necessary will diminish. And empowerment, embodiment towards infinity demands striving. It demands overcoming that which is denied. And I promise you, we are creating a world that's not going to be so hard. Because I would rather have that than fly. In fact, I don't want any powers if it means waking up and falling asleep next to you. The proverbial you and the not proverbial you. But you know what I mean, right? Like, I mean, if I could fly and have that, I'm aiming for that. But I also don't want to have to like, I don't know, like write out a diagram of like the math of my own flight. Like, fuck that too. I want it to be easier. Not easy, but make more sense than that. And I can do that because I have my context with which I build my environment. Because I don't believe shit. I don't believe shit. I have to prove it to myself. And lots of motherfuckers like to say that. And then they fucking walk around with their little dick in their hand, claiming to be atheists like it's a fucking accomplishment. And I use that, but it could be anything where people think that they know shit. I don't think I know anything. I know what I know, and it comes up when it's useful. Because I need to know. It's what I use to build things. And I got a lot of things that I like to build, but I do a lot of my mind. I don't have to make them up like with the rest of the world. And there's like at least half of the other half of the universe that I will never know, because that's not what I want to know. That's what you know. And I want to know that you know that I don't know. Because that's the universe I want to believe in. So teaching the children is going to be part of my online offering. Empowering them to teach themselves, because it doesn't matter. I'm not like I can't not what's what are we really? Where are we really in the solar system? What is a sun? What is a planet? What is a moon? None of that shit fucking matters. What matters is how you come to know for yourself. It's not important, the truth of things, because that's not the truth. What is important is how you get there for yourself, not the destination, but the process. That's how you heal the world. That's how you change the world. You be the question. Right? Like, I've been teaching my whole life. That's why I'm pretty good at it. And when I teach anybody anything, it's I'm just asking questions, like guiding questions, leading questions. But I don't ever take people where they're not taking themselves, and I kind of like to poke at them, and be like, "See what you know?" Yeah, yeah. Because that way, I'm always learning. But I'm always learning from the people that I teach. Because the way that they put it, isn't thankfully fucking just a regurgitation of what I said. Because I didn't say it. So it's like, oh, I like the way you put that. You're brilliant. Thank you for teaching me that. And when you teach people how to figure out their own truth, that's love, baby. That's world peace. That's world peace and a big old fucking hug. Because that's the truth. You don't have to like force it on anybody. You just be like, try and fool yourself for the fun of it. Which is to say, like, try and fool yourself into believing something absurdly beautiful about you and your life that you don't believe but you wish was true. And prove yourself wrong. Prove yourself right. But stop dying and then using death as an excuse. If I may speak uh, plainly, because I'm judging the idea. And I'm inviting you to judge yourself so that when others attempt judging you, you have beaten them. So the punch, they can't punch you. You're punched. You're not beaten to the punch. You're punched. You're like, actually, no, you're right or wrong. I know. So you're not telling me, or let me tell you how you're wrong. Fuck you. Or fuck me. But just because someone says something doesn't mean that you believe it. And there's quite insidious technology at work. It makes it very hard. So it's not even a blame thing, it's not even a fault thing. Like, if I were to open up the possibility of like an avenue for questing, I invite you to question how technology might be orchestrated as such so that my words, the sound I make, the image that like my body is formed as, in truth, where if you were sitting beside me, the rapport that we would be having would engender communion and like loving kindness, like rapport, like just a relationship. And conversely, the experience we're having instead, and like let's forget, let's just and we'll like leave the like we'll pretend that me in my living room and you in your room that you're living in, uh, like aren't in an environment that's affecting. And we're just talking about the essences of like us and like our being. And the only difference is the medium through which our energies are moving to get to each other. So the space between me sitting here on my couch and you sitting there on my couch, on our couch, because who the fuck owns anything? It's a couch. Thank you for couching. Right? Versus the space between us, wherever you are in the world, and the truth of each of our presences being shared with one another, through your computer, through this camera, through the waves, radio waves, and all that shit. Now I want you to take all that and then put that aside with the living room stuff. Like, don't even let that matter, right? Because you might be inclined to believe reasonably about a lie, right? So it's like true, but about a lie that the physical space between us would interfere with the energy of our exchange. It's like, well, you're not here. So just because my voice has to travel in some way over some vast seeming amount of distance, that would affect the exchange between us. And I mean in like a confusing or like detrimental way. You put that belief aside. I invite you to challenge it because it's not true. But like, put it aside. I said that just to fuck with you, so you'd be like, I can't put it away. It's not gonna be It's like, no. It's always there now. Just like leave it, put it aside. And then understand that there are mechanisms at work, like interpenetrating those mediums that work actively to confuse our emotional interpretation. And I mean that because I want to, because it's like in like the most like direct form, it's energy. And so emotional is the most energy motion. Like that's a joke and actually just the truth. There are literal mechanisms, tangible mechanisms, albeit subtle, right? But like I'm touching the air right now. It's not as obvious as water, but it's still there. It's just more subtle. So there's subtler mechanisms that are actively twisting our energies so as to make it confusing. But when you know it, they just get usual, and yours open, and you can do anything. Just override it. But how would you override it? If it's enough for you to like, in every aspect and essence of your being, just be like, I override it, then that's enough. But if you don't believe you, and like in some ways, that's what I do. That I'm like, fuck you. I know. Boom. And in other ways, I'm like, fuck me. I don't know. And I have to build it. I have to make it make sense to me. You know. So I know how that the mechanisms work, and then lo, like it becomes less subtle and more tangible to me, um, almost by surprise, because of all of the possibilities that I've made space for. And this I will close with. This is, I guess, what we were coming at. This is what I was waiting for. If you leave with any one piece of like a tool, it's not advice, I don't do that. It's not a suggestion. Because I'm actively not hypnotizing you. Right? But it's like, it can be a monkey wrench. If you use a monkey or a wrench, I'm just fucking with technology a little bit. It's this. What if there's nothing wrong with you? If you see something out of the corner of your eye, if there's nothing wrong with you, then you don't know what it is, but maybe you saw it. I mean, you did see it. You saw something in the corner of your eye. Well, you don't see it anymore, but you saw something. So now that you know that there's nothing wrong with you, or at least you know to yourself, and that's all that matters, like when the little things happen that are extraordinary, right? Which doesn't mean not ordinary. It means more ordinary, right? Because that's what is the most remarkable thing, maybe, about all this, this shifting paradigm, which is, I remember, like, I was in grade 10 when I first learned that word paradigm, and it was like, it's just juicy. It's like, the way it's spelt and the way it says these sounds in your tongue, it's wicked. So it's civics class, but anyways, Devon. Like all that what that literally means is like your mindscape, your environment, like shifting doesn't mean like tear down and create all new. There's movement. So where can you make movement in your life? By allowing for the fact that there's nothing wrong with you, and that all your thoughts, all your feelings, and so all of your emotions are valid. All of your perceptions are valid, and you are allowed to be. You're allowed to be wrong to yourself. You're allowed to be mistaken, and so update your perceptions. You're allowed to be wrong because there's nothing wrong with you. And then don't believe me. How do you know there's nothing wrong with you? And then believe me here. Like I'm inviting you to. I love the person that you are because you are lovely. You are worthy of love. I just don't love anything and everybody like that. I have to know, and so I do. And it is my understanding that there's nothing wrong with you. So if I can be a believable resource, but not an authority, I'm not authoring you, but um, reliable, believable resource. Exactly. Your great is closer in your perception than you thought it was. Okay, I'm gonna go back to doing some of the other stuff that I'm doing. I'm so excited. I really don't even know uh, what is going to happen at this point from like day to day because it just feels so downright magical. Fantastical, a miracle. Oh, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining you. Thank you for enjoying. Thank you for enjoying. Until we do it again, uh, I wish you all the things. And just so you know, I'm going to be keep doing it. So if you keep doing it, then until we do it again, it'll be like we never stopped. Have fun. But you can only have fun if you find it. But that's the cool thing about the truth of manifestation. Like find the units of context, the building blocks of fun, and then build your fun. It's the only fun you need. Okay. Until later, namaste. And I love you the most.